Welcome Trinidad and Tobago and the world at large. I'm Joshua Matos, host of Football 101, and this right here is an interview we're going to do with Trinidad and Tobago's #1 goalkeeper, Jean-Michael Williams. It's a really nice interview. We're going to find out from Jean where he started off to where he currently is, to where he wants to be in the future. So stay tuned. This is Football 101 and Andrew Suklal. Take it away.
Okay, first question, Jan. Being the national #1 keeper of Trinidad and Tobago, you know, we know you have a lot of caps. I think it's about 61 caps, is it? Yeah. But you know, a lot of people don't know the journey you took and how it started. So if you could just enlighten us, you know, like what was your first team, secondary school, where you started, where your origins came from?
Initially, I was never interested in playing football at all, to be honest.
Oh wow.
Older brothers are Keith Williams and Errol Lewis. They were actually football players.
Yeah.
The older one being Errol Lewis was a goalkeeper actually for Presentation San Fernando. And Keith used to play for St. Benedict's College. And I don't know, I just used to follow them around a lot, me being the youngest. Yeah. And just started to like the game from there.
Okay, so interestingly enough, you were inspired by your brothers and so on.
Initially.
Yeah, and then eventually you caught on.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Started to play with a team in the community by the name of Flamingo FC, which was coached by John Lavo. He was actually my first coach. And I wasn't that good at football, so they decided to put me in the goal one game, and I guess everything just took off from there. I knew basically nothing about football. I was just a little bit tall and probably could catch the ball a little bit, so I think that's why they put me there. And after the first game, I think that was it.
That's definitely a shocker for all of us, and the fans included, because a lot of the fans specifically asked, you know, hey, we want to find out, you know, about Jean-Michael's history, because, you know, the average fan would never guess that, including myself. I would think he's a natural. So, you know, so the game came naturally to you then?
Yeah.
Because
well, not necessarily the game, but the position, being a goalkeeper. I think John Lavo was a good coach. He still is around. Pushed me a lot in that direction. You know, helped me to realize the dream of becoming not only a national but an international goalkeeper.
So basically, when you were at Flamingo, that's the correct name, right?
Yeah.
What age were you at that? Was that pre-secondary school?
It was pre-secondary school. I was around 9 or 10.
Also, you were only 9, okay.
Yeah, and you know, we used to use the facility in Cuba, the recreational ground. Yeah, I used to, you know, try my best to you know, follow the instructions from the coach and you know, try to be the best that I could. As I said, he was a good motivator. Yeah. And he encouraged all the players to strive for greatness. So I think in that regard, he helped us, or helped me, I should say, in realizing the dream of, as I said before, not only becoming a national goalkeeper, but an international player.
So at 9 years old, that was a critical point then.
Yeah,
I mean, that was a guy who made you decide I'm going to go all the way with this.
Yeah.
So then you have secondary school now.
Road Common Entrance, at the time that's what it was called. But it passed for St. Anthony's College. I don't know how. But passed for St. Anthony's College. And went on to meet up with Nigel Rhodes, who was the coach there. And funny story enough again, was informed on one day and the under-14 team had a game. Yeah. And the goalkeeper at that time, I think his name was Adam Da Silva, if I'm not mistaken. He got detention.
Okay.
And Grovey, he asked around, you know, anybody interested in coming to play under-14 today? I was like, yeah, why not? So we went on to play the game. I think the first game was against QRC in QRC. And I think I went there and had a good enough game.
Okay.
To become the first choice goalkeeper for the under-14 team in Form 1. From there on, you know, when I got to age 15, I was selected on the national team that was in training for the World Cup, the national under-17 tournament.
Okay. Who was the coach at the time? Was it?
The coach of the national team that time was a Nigerian coach.
Yes, I remember his name because I remember he coached Nigeria at the World Cup in 2002.
A little bit afraid to try to pronounce it. I think it was Odingbinge.
Yeah, that is him. That is him.
So
that's very impressive. That's a tongue twister.
We used to call him the chief at that time, which was much easier. And the chief saw me in a screening session in Chaguanas and started training with the team, and subsequently made the squad, the final 18 for the.
This is the under 17, right?
National for the World Cup tournament, which was held in Trinidad at that time.
And the games were actually played right here at the Manny Ramjan.
Manny Ramjan.
And
Ato
yeah.
as well.
Which I was present for. Yeah.
So, yeah, from there, it was on another turning point in my career because, well, as Trinidad public knows, my name is not aligned at all within discipline at all. I'm known to be a very disciplined player, but I was the only player that wasn't able to take the field in the tournament. The coach at that time was Renny Simones.
Oh yeah, the Brazilian.
The Brazilian, and the last game we played, which was against Brazil, the night before the game, he told me to prepare myself. He was going to use me in the game tomorrow, and I was really excited to play because up to that point, I think everybody else had played in the tournament except me.
Yeah.
The 18 players that is from the 18, and I think we got a red card in the game, and he didn't select me for the game. And usually after the games, before and after the games, we would take our weight, which was standard procedure. And I was upset to the point where I told him I wasn't taking my weight, and I was probably stormed out in the dressing room or something like that.
Because the desire to play was so strong. So
so
close,
strong.
Brazil, you want to play.
And we had a closing ceremony, closing off the entire campaign. And even at that point, I didn't apologize because I was so upset. And he said to me that, life is full of disappointments, and nothing happens before it's time. Which, I mean, at the time I was young, so I wasn't really willing to hear that.
Yeah.
A couple of months later, he selected a squad for the national under 20s. And
this is Renny Simones.
Renny Simones.
Yes, yeah.
And to this date, this is the only squad in Trinidad and Tobago at youth level that I have not played for because he didn't select me. A sport mom who was highly influential in me, even to this day, being the disciplined person I am, and she advised me to apologize to him, of course. And I went up to the training ground in the AC Crawford Stadium on their first training session, and apologized to him for the way that I acted and whatnot. And he said to me that I have potential not only to play, to be the national goalkeeper for the under 20s, but to be the national goalkeeper for the national senior team. But in life, just as in football, you have to learn to deal with disappointments. Okay.
So he was trying to teach you a subtle lesson.
A lesson.
Yeah.
And I think that was the best piece of coaching advice I have gotten to this date. Life is football and football is life. It is full of disappointments. And he stuck to his decision not to select me for the national under 20 team as punishment, and I accepted it. And funny enough, less than a year and a half later, I was selected to go to South Africa with the national senior team. I think the motivation at that point was so strong for me, the desire to play and to prove not only Simones, but to prove to myself that I could make it to that level. Yeah, it was so strong that I went on to make my debut for Trinidad at age 18. Yeah, for the national senior team, that is.
And for a lot of people, I mean, making a national cap at 18.
Yeah, it was a big deal, especially as a goalkeeper at that time. And on foreign soil. The first game was against Botswana, in Botswana. Yeah. Which was a hostile atmosphere. Yeah. But it was a good experience nonetheless. Funny enough, the Minister of Sport. No.
Interesting topic.
I played with him, and when I made my debut, he was in the defense. And he, as well as players like Anton Pierre and Travis Mulrain, helped me through the experience, which was good.
Marvin Andrews and they were around that time?
They were around, but it wasn't on
that team itself. Okay.
So, as I said, till that point, the motivation for me was so strong, the desire was so strong to push forward. And it was, as I said, one of the best lessons I've learned from any coach so far in my football career.
So basically that, your first national cap at 18, playing with these senior figures, Brent was one of those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it just had to bring it up. But you know, were you nervous at all? Do you think Rennie Simons was being psychologically brilliant, or like preparing you for the senior level, or do you think it was just something you are?
I was nervous.
Yeah.
I could remember the game finishing off, final whistle blowing, and my legs shaking to the point where Renal Carrington had to say, hey, the game is done.
Yeah.
You know? And I think Rennie Simonis, one of his better qualities as a coach is his man management skills.
Okay.
It's not something that I think you can develop as a coach. It's something you just have as a coach.
A lot of people say it's lacking right now. I mean, I can't speak for all coaches, but some people say it's a quality that sort of lacking right now.
Yeah. But I think it's something that Rennie Simonis has. And funny enough story again, brought me to tears because some years on, I went to Jamaica to play a friendly with Trinidad, and Rennie Simonis was the coach of Jamaica. And immediately as I saw him, I mean, the telepathic understanding of "I told you so" was there, you know, and it
came over as a genius. Then.
Yeah, you know, and it almost brought me to tears. You know, we greeted each other, and again, it was one of the best.
And
pieces of advice.
That was probably around 2002, maybe, when he was in coaching Jamaica.
A little bit later on, I think when he had a second stint there. So it would have been around probably 2006, 2007, because I was playing in Hungary at the time, Belgium, sorry, at the time. So I was coming home for the international. So it was a good move by
So while this international career was taking place, in terms of club level, where were you playing at the time?
Well, I started at Double Connection. Well, we all know Connection.
Yeah.
Quality, I think the coach, Stuart Charles.
Yeah.
A genius when it comes to you know,
preparation and so on.
Preparing young players.
Yeah.
Helping them to understand the game. He's a good teacher of football. He has tremendous knowledge. I think he could talk football with anybody in the world. Started off there, and being around the likes of the local players at the time, which were Ronald Carrington, David Atiba Charles, and the foreign players like Jose Luis Seabra,
the Brazilian guy,
Ronaldo Viana. I think.
And then they were doing well in the CONCACAF.
Yeah, I think at the time, being one of the younger players aspiring to go to the next level, it was good for me because I had perfect examples in these players. We participated in domestic competition. We won the league, we won the Caribbean tournament, we won the numerous cups in the league itself, and we also participated in the CONCACAF Champions League.
Yeah.
One of the most memorable results was me getting sent off. The only time in my life, thanks Neil Brizan, against Chivas Guadalajara, Mexico, and we win in the game 2-1 with 10 men. It was one of the better results for the club and one of the better experiences I've had with Double Connection. I moved on to go on trials in England. I had trials with Sheffield United, with Charlton Athletic, Derby County, Wrexham. I've been to...
I know Dennis Lawrence and those guys who at Wrexham.
Yeah. But when I went there, they had already left.
Okay. This was what year? This was...
Oh. Numbers, I can't remember the numbers. But again, I was offered contracts in Charlton and in Sheffield United, and because of the inability to get up permits at the time.
Oh yeah, I know that's a complicated issue.
Always an issue. I didn't receive the work permit, so I had to go to a feeder club in Belgium, which was in the lower leagues, White Star Woolway. I spent 1 season there.
Yeah.
And the next year I moved on to...
What was the transition like though from Trinidad? I mean, it wasn't England, but you went to Belgium.
No, well, for me the biggest difference was the language, because in Belgium they speak French.
Yeah.
And for me, being a young person, an individual who always had aspirations of going abroad to play football, I was extremely excited. I was eager to embrace the cultural change, so I took it. It was easy for me.
No, so it wasn't daunting like some players.
It wasn't daunting at all.
I spoke to a couple other players and it changed. It seems like you adapted well.
Yeah, Did. Particularly, main reason because I do like his son at all.
Yeah. Oh, well, see, I'm not the only one.
And you know, the weather situation across there with the snow and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Moved on to the same team that Akim Adams played for,
Yeah.
Varosh.
Mm-hmm.
Played for them one season, and we won the league.
Mm-hmm.
It was another good experience for me, but it was tough.
Which is an impressive feat, by the way.
Yeah. It was tough for me because Hungary's in Eastern Europe, and in Eastern Europe, there are not much black people.
Yeah.
So for me, it was a hot and cold experience. I had a good time there. I think the fans and the people around the club, they accepted me well, and I did my part to ensure that we won the league, and it was a good experience.
So like, all right, so from there, so at this point, your national career was basically your...
By that time, was unlucky not to be selected for the 2006 World Cup. I never thought I had a chance, and Kelvin Jack played in some Shaka Islam. As much as I wanted to go, it was never really about to happen like that.
Also, you took it in stride then?
Yeah, I mean, the three tremendous goalkeepers, outstanding in their strengths and even in their weaknesses as well. They were good professional athletes. You know, they knew how to.
Interestingly, how you brought them up in terms of influences. Were those guys among just local and internationally? Who would you say were your major influences in terms of goalkeepers?
Because I support the Italian national team, I would have to go for Gianluigi Buffon. He's one of, if not the most decorated goalkeeper in the football history. I mean, he's won World Cup, European Cup champions.
That is not a bad role model to have at all.
And another person who's had a significant impact on my career, I would say Shaka Islam. I don't want to sound too cliche, but if you just look at how he has you know, carried himself in his career, I think it's something that I always tried to emulate.
Yeah.
You know, for me, getting in England would have hit the nail on the head, but it didn't happen that way. But just the way he, in terms of on the pitch, he would carry himself, he would command his area, makes brilliant saves, you know, things like that. And off the pitch, how he would carry himself as a role model to the youth. You know, I always would want to emulate someone like him.
So when you were coming down to when you're at your peak then, at the international level, when would you say?
I'll say no.
Is it still happening?
I'll say no. I'll say no.
I think he's keeping pretty good.
I hope the national coach is watching, Stephen Hart.
Stephen Hart, take note.
But I'll say no. With goalkeepers, I think age.
It works with age.
Yeah,
because
it does. It does.
I'll be honest. This is not flattery. It's just factual. I saw a lot of Central FC games. I saw some penalty shootouts. I mean, your stats ratio for goal saved. And that's what I do. I'm a stats guy. It can't be denied. I saw certain situations where you saw your experience in certain one-on-one situations. Maybe a clearance back from whoever, Marvin, etc. You know, you could see the experience. That's something a lot of people in the crowd identify with. A lot of young keepers looking at. And right now, if you maybe had to give advice to aspiring young players, I mean, what would you give them? What would be your...
I think it's all about decision making. I think it's all about trying to make the right decisions consistently. I think the longer you are in the game as a goalkeeper, you'll see the situations, you'll know how to deal with them.
Yeah.
And it's all about making the right decisions. My thing is, to young goalkeepers, continue working on the game. Always continue working on the game. When things go down for you, it's something that Clayton Ince wants to do. When things go bad for you, start from scratch, start over and build up. Because it's the only way that you can really identify a mistake and resolve it.
Yeah, because a lot of people misunderstand what is required to be a professional player.
Yeah.
And it's good to hear it from guys like yourself. And I'm pretty sure, I mean, at some point you spoke with Shaka and those guys, as you said before.
Yeah.
So, you know, the next generation of kids will be looking at this and they will be listening attentively with probably a notepad. Okay, so Jan says do X, Y, Z. And, you know, this is important, I think, for development. And, you know, it's good to get your insight on things like this. Because as it stands now, you know, from the fans' point of view, you know, me being one of them, you know, it's good to be a good role model and continue the cycle.
Yeah.
Now that you're at this point in your career, where do you see yourself? Well, now you're at Central FC, playing regularly for the national team. Where do you see yourself in future? Coaching, managing?
Well, believe it or not, I still have ambitions to go outside and play.
And that's one of the advantages of being a goalkeeper.
Yeah. When I look at, it may sound maybe not too realistic, but when I look at the Champions League, when I look at teams like Barcelona and Real Madrid and Manchester United, Chelsea, Thibaut Courtois, I think I could compete with these players for a spot on the team.
I notice a lot of the good keepers, well, particularly because I'm a fan of Argentina, a lot of the better keepers, and keepers in general, seem to peak in the 30s.
Yeah.
So that's it's not an unreasonable thing. I mean.
The most important thing is to take care of your body and to live for the game.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit harder to do that in Trinidad because of, food is always a major issue.
Yeah.
Nutrition. And the culture itself, carnival, everything is affected. Everything. When somebody dies, the week is affected. You know, so to stay away from the bad influences, the alcohol, the too much partying, excessive drinking, that kind of thing. But for me, I think if it's possible for me to still go outside and live in that type of environment, I think that I can actually play on one of these teams.
And based on, on present form, Central FC on top of the league, the shutout stats I mentioned before, who knows? Nothing is impossible.
Nothing is impossible.
Recently, I had the pleasure of going to Argentina when you all played. The giants of South America. I can't hide that I'm Argentina. Everybody see the jacket, but I was there in the stands. You played. A lot of people ask, based on the feedback on the show, they would like to know, being a Trinidadian, playing against these guys like Di Maria and Messi, who are the stars at this point in time at the Estadio Monumental. What was it like, now that you're a veteran now? In my eyes, what was the experience like?
I always say this, and I don't think people outside of football could quite understand what I mean. When I'm in the goal post, I don't see players. I don't see Messi or Ronaldo or Tevez, or I don't see players. I see positions on the field, and I see what foot the players stronger. So in the game, to be quite honest, I didn't see Messi at all.
You hear that, young people? Fear no one.
I didn't see Di Maria. I didn't see all. That's what I see. I think it's something I've tried to develop from over the years. So only before the game and after the game, I would notice, hey, it's Messi, it's Ronaldo, it's whoever. The game itself was good. I think the atmosphere was brilliant. I think something that made my pause raise even before the game started, while going onto the pitch, was seeing the Trinidad and Tobago supporters with the rhythm section, so much noise. And I think the Argentine fans, they actually embraced it because it was something new to them.
And it's interesting how both of us were there. Like, you were there from a playing perspective. When we were walking in, the players created a pathway for us to walk, and they were saluting us. And I'm a follower of football my entire life, but that's something you have to be there to experience.
Yes,
and they were so receptive. We heard a lot of horrible things. Be careful, you're going to be hostile, XYZ. And even the security guards told us, this is unheard of. So, we had an effect on these people. But the thing I really admired was a lot of people thought we were going to get, it was going to be a walkover.
Disappointed with those
I was proud of Trinidad
fans. Disappointed with those Trinidad fans. You see, the thing is, it's sad. I'll tell you what's sad. When the Trinidad national team trains, if there's two people in the stands, and those two people are family members, if the Argentine or the Brazil or the Germany or the Chile or the Spain or the Uruguay national team trains,
filled,
is thousands of people in the stands. Now, if they don't have the opportunity, Trinidad fans, to see some of our players because they play in England, in Belgium, in the United States, and they come to the training sessions and see how high the quality is and how intense the training session is, then when they hear we have games against Brazil and Mexico and Argentina, they won't be fearful because they'll see that we have players that have the quality enough to stand up against these teams. Even in saying that, I was a little bit disappointed with the result. I think the first goal we conceded, I could have done a bit better. But even in saying that, we did play well. We did have a couple opportunities to score, and we defended very well. Argentina didn't create a handful of opportunities against us.
And me being an Argentinian fan, that was painful to say. But
the best players in the world were on the pitch. Di Maria,
Well, I was so impressed. I told people, like, when I saw how we played against Argentina, I was so confident about our chances in the recent qualifications in the Caribbean Cup. I told people from what I saw and from the preparation, I was fortunate enough to be at the preparation for the Argentina game that Stephen had. And I was just there in the background, so I was maybe the third person who was there in the stands. But I saw top quality players with excellent first touch. I mean, the distribution from you and Marvin and those guys. I saw the first team versus the, and I follow football, but I was genuinely shocked at the quality I saw, and it re-emphasized my interest for local football.
Well, maybe you should spread the news then, and then get some more people to come.
Yes, we're spreading it right now. But no, even so, like like the quality of football, Central FC. A lot of people come to the games and see, the quality of football is pretty high.
Even the standard in the league, I think, has risen significantly over the last couple of years. A lot of young players coming into the league has helped in that regard, and a lot of senior players have helped pass on their knowledge to ensure that the younger players make the league a little bit more competitive. In saying that, I think if you watch the table right now, you'll see how tight it is. Because, I mean, the league itself is competitive, which is good. And it only augurs well for the future of the league and the future of the national team as well, because the league is where the majority of players has to come from.
Okay. Well, a lot of the fans would like to ask this question. I mean, at the end, this football show, and they want to know which is your favorite team that you follow.
That's easy. They call them the old lady of Italian football.
Oh, I'm an Inter Milan fan. That hurt. So you like Inter Milan?
I like consistency, and I like quality, and I like teams that defend well. So
I have to grudgingly respect them. Those guys just they dominate right now. They're dominating, but
I think now that we have
so Del Piero and them guys are heroes.
Quality.
Fun. No. Of course, I should have figured that out. I should have figured that out.
Now that we have quality young players like Pogba, Ntiti, Arturo Vidal, and even the likes of the older ones like Pirlo and Giorgio Chiellini, I think we have a good enough squad to even challenge for the Champions League trophy. So
interestingly enough, a lot of people, I tell people the general consensus is not a lot of people watch Serie A, but everybody I spoke to so far, Serie A fans. Well, I'm the one Inter Milan fan, but you see, John Michael Williams likes Serie A and Juventus.
For sure.
Right, so there you heard it from John Michael Williams. A really nice interview. We really got to find out who John was.
Yes. Interesting. He's a Serie A fan.
Very interesting.
Being a Serie A fan myself, that is awesome.
You would see him out there in the goalpost doing his thing, but you really get to talk to him, you really see a different side. I mean, the John that I see in training compared to the John I see in this interview is two totally different people.
It shows you how in football, I mean, a guy could be a monster out there, commanding the presence, and a totally calm, cool guy, as we saw.
Yeah. So thank you for John for that interview. Really give us some really good insight into the life of a footballer. So big up to John. And like I said, really shocking to see him supporting Juventus. I looked at him in the interview and I was thinking, that's a Barca man. For sure, that's a Barca man. And
I was expecting maybe an EPL side, he shocked me, he's like, the old lady, Juventus.
Yeah.
And even though it hurt me because I hate Juventus, but it shows that he's a fan of Serie A.
Yeah.
And Buffon is his hero, so I should have figured it out.
Yeah. So big up to John, thanks for that interview. Thank you for watching this interview on Football 101. Stay tuned, subscribe to the YouTube channel and just keep looking at Football 101. We're going to be highlighting a lot of things throughout this year, a lot of big things to come for Football 101 this year. So I'm your host, Joshua Matos.
And this is Andre Sokal.
And this is Football 101.
Bringing the field to your home.
Thank you for viewing. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and follow us on Twitter, or email us at football101tnt@gmail.com. This has been Football 101, bringing the field to your home.
All right, John. Michael Williams. No, you do it again. The thing is, I do this before, it's just...
Oh, God!
You see, I'm too comfortable, the guy.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Let go.